Hello, folks. Hello, Mummy. Welcome. So this is class number 8, I'm pretty sure. Video number 9, because class number 7 last night got a quick little restart when I accidentally ended the video. Oh, thanks, Shelly. So we're back. So tonight is another level 1 to 2, very similar to what we did last night, just with a little bit more in it because it's a 60-minute class tonight instead of a 45-minute class. So same as last night, if you were here, you might want to have a block and a strap of some sort. Again, you can modify your block with preferably something sturdy like a book, or if you have like a step or something. I don't know if you've got like blocks of wood lying around the house, maybe. Preferably something sturdy like that. And for the strap, anything that resembles a strap. So it can be a yoga strap, like a strap that you tie your mat up with. You can even use a skipping rope if you have something like that, or just like a belt that you would use around your jeans. And that should be all that you need tonight, unless you like to have anything extra for your shavasana right at the end, like pillows or blankets or anything like that. I've just realized that I am going to have to touch the phone again because I just need to put it on silent just in case I get any messages. So if I hit a button that I'm not supposed to, exactly the same that I did last night, I'll restart the video in like 30 seconds. So let's just try this. Just everybody cross your fingers and hope that I don't do the wrong thing here. And we're still here. Yay. Okay, so on that note, we're good to go. So grab your props if you don't have them already. Water if you need it. I'll probably need that halfway through. And come on over onto your mat. All right, here we go. Child's pose, please. Surprise, surprise. Knees to the mat, big toes touch behind you, hips back towards the heels, and the upper body drops, forehead maybe somewhere towards the mat. It might not get all the way there. Take a couple moments, adjust this posture if you need to. So your knees, they might have to be wide apart, they might have to be close together. The arms can be outstretched in front, or you can bend the elbows or take the arms back by your sides. I'm not too concerned with exactly how this posture looks. You're just finding a position that you can settle into so that you can focus on your breath. Starting just to track your breath through your nose as much as possible. Just taking notice of the length of your breath, the length of the inhale and the exhale. And maybe finding that center point of your body, the point where your inhale starts from, and the point where your exhales return to. That center point of expansion and contraction. And then slowly starting to lengthen your breath. The inhales expanding the body a little bit further. And the exhales maybe contracting a bit deeper, using that engagement of your belly and slight closing at the back of your throat as you press the air out through the nose. Just another 3 to 5 breaths here. Again, the breath lengthens gradually. It doesn't go from a normal length of breath suddenly to this super long, intense breathing. Just gradually let it open up. And once those final few breaths are completed, take your time if you need a few more. Use an inhale and bring your body up into tabletop position, taking your time. And once you're up, your hands are going to be just under your shoulders, knees just underneath your hips. Fingers spreading wide, making sure the knuckles of your index fingers are grounded into the mat. Take a deep breath. Next, inhale, cow tilt. Drop your belly, lift your chest, gaze comes up. And exhale, cat's tilt. Round your spine, engaging the belly as you move away from the mat. Back to cow. Inhale, belly drops, chest lifts, shoulders rolling back. And then exhale, press through the arms, spread the shoulder blades above you as you round. Take 3 more. Long inhales, lifting your chest, engaging the back muscles to open the front of your body. And then exhaling, engaging your front body muscles to open the back body. 2 more. Just moving at whatever pace your breath is going at. It might be a little faster or a little slower than me. Once your final exhale is completed, come back to neutral on the inhale, bringing the gaze down between your hands. Again, fingers are still spreading, knuckles still grounded. Keep a little engagement in your belly so your lower back hasn't collapsed here. Then finding your first downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, push down through the hands and the feet, lifting the knees and the hips, reach back through the chest. Knees might bend a little bit here. Focus first on the length of your spine, making sure there's no rounding in your back here. You want the chest reaching back, your hips pulling towards the wall behind you or whatever is behind you. Take 1 more here. Then inhale forwards into plank, shoulders shift forwards over your wrists. Now for some of you, your stance is going to be pretty short here with your hips really high. If that's the case, just lengthen your stance a little bit so that the hips are in line with the rest of the body. And then send it back to down dog. Exhale, reach back through the hips, through the chest. Again, knees might bend. If you can straighten the legs while keeping your lower back flat, do so. If it doesn't feel that great, just keep the knees bent. 1 more breath. And then look forwards between your hands. Bend the knees a little if they're not already. And take small steps to bring the feet to the top of the mat, all the way up. Your feet are going to be separated just about hips width apart. Knees are still bent and the upper body relaxes. If it feels good, grab a hold of your opposite elbows, interlacing the arms. Otherwise, just leave the arms hanging and then find a bit of movement here. Your head might shake a bit, maybe no, and then yes. The upper body might sway a bit side to side. Again, these are all just options, so if one thing feels particularly good, you can keep doing that. If one thing doesn't feel good at all, you don't have to do it at all. And come back to stillness at the center, and then just release the arms. Keep the knees bent, and slowly roll up 1 vertebrae at a time, letting the head be the very last thing to lift. Once you're all the way up, heel toe the feet towards one another. Big toes might touch, might not. Arms reach down by your sides. Take a deep breath. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Again, just moving with your breath. Inhale, reaching up. Fingers reach up, but the heels keep grounding down. Exhale, arms down. Once more, inhale, lift, lengthen. Keep the length as you fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips. So you're just changing at your hip crease here. Hands eventually drop towards the mat. Knees again might bend a little bit to help you down. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Hands, for most of you, will come off of the mat. If that's the case, press into the shins for that length. And then fold. Exhale, release. Same again. Inhale, flat back. Doesn't matter what angle your back is at. What matters is that there's no rounding. Get that rounding out by lifting the chest away. And then release. Exhale. Once more, inhale. This time back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, walk the feet to the back of your mat, and then set the knees down into a modified plank. Pelvis isn't tipped up and it's not collapsed to the mat. Your pelvis is tucked under just a little bit, belly active, lower back supported. Keep that support, your first chaturanga. Exhale, start to bend the elbows. Don't worry about how low you get here. Worry about whether or not the hips are collapsing. You want those to stay the same as the elbows bend to your side. So you might only go an inch or two. You might make it to 90 degrees in the elbows. And then release all the way down. Once you're on your mat, release your toes so that the tops of the feet are now touching the mat. Push through the tops of the feet, cobra pose. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, halfway lift your chest. So you're making sure that your back muscles are doing the majority of your work here and not the arm muscles. You're pulling yourself up rather than pushing yourself up. Go ahead, release, drop back down. If that felt good, you can slide your hands back another inch. Otherwise, just leave the hands where they are. Find that engagement in your legs again. Push through the tops of the feet. Cobra. Inhale, lifting your chest. Thinking about leading with your elbows, pull the elbows back so the upper back is active and your chest is open. And then release. One more time. When you're ready, strong legs behind you. Inhale, lift the chest. The palms might float this time while the feet stay down behind you. And then release. Tuck your toes under. On your knees or on your toes, come into plank. Inhale, push up. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Maybe 3 breaths here, spreading the fingers, your hands just about shoulder width apart. However, they might need to go a little bit wider if you find difficulty straightening the arms or finding this opening in your chest. Take one more breath. Then inhale, look forwards, step or jump the feet between the hands, lifting the chest halfway flat back. Exhale, fold. Coming to standing with a flat back this time. Inhale, lift the chest, then continue all the way up. Lift the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms. Step or jump the feet back. First option, knees are down, just like they were a moment ago. If that lowering was challenging, just set the knees to the mat. Second option, you can keep the knees lifted for a full chaturanga. When you're ready, exhale, start to bend the elbows. Again, only as far as you can with a supported lower back. Inhale, first option is cobra, that halfway lift with your hips down. Second option is upward facing dog. If you're in up dog, tops of the feet are still pushing down, this time making sure your knees and your thighs are floating with the engagement of your legs. When you are ready, whether from up dog or cobra, you're moving back to downward facing dog. First option, push down through the knees. Second option, push down through the tops of the feet and roll over your toes. 2 or 3 breaths. Your feet are just about hips width apart, not super wide, not too close together, just hips width. Take one more, reaching towards the heels. Then inhale to the top of the mat. Look forwards, step or jump the feet between the hands, lifting the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift your chest. Exhale, plant your palms, lunge your left foot to the back of your mat. So if you haven't been in one of my classes yet, your left, if you hold up your thumb and forefinger in a 90-degree angle, whichever thumb and forefinger make an L when you're looking at it, that's your left hand. So left leg is back, your left hand stays down, and the right arm turns up. So you're twisting your chest towards your front knee. A few deep breaths here. You would like your front heel to be directly under this knee. So if that heel is back or if the heel is lifted, just move the foot forwards a bit. So you've got a slightly longer stance. Take one more. Back to downward facing dog. Exhale, right hand down, right foot to the back of your mat. Take a deep breath here. Coming into 3-legged down dog. Keep grounding through both palms as the right leg lifts up. So that foot that was just forwards is now lifting up towards the back wall. And take another deep breath. Reach a little stronger through the floating leg. Crescent lunge. Inhale, your right foot steps forwards between the hands. Now from here, ground through this front heel, push down and kick through the back heel to lift the chest, bringing the arms up. 2 or 3 breaths. Front knee once again just on top of the ankle, and you want that knee to be tracking just out over your pinky toe rather than in over your big toe. Make sure it's out just a little bit. Kick a little stronger. Take one more breath. Exhale, hands to the mat. Now once your hands are down, don't change the feet just yet. Coming into a runner's lunge. Front leg is going to start straightening out. So this front knee is going to start moving back towards a straight leg. Now your leg might not get all the way straight. Don't worry if it doesn't get all the way there, but you are pushing through the front heel to send that knee as far back as it will go towards a straight leg. Take one more and then release. Bend the front knee once again, come into a fold. Step your left foot up to meet the right. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Other side. Exhale, plant the palms. Right leg lunges back this time. So your left foot should be forwards. Once the legs are set, left arm reaches up. Back heel kicking away. Front heel pushing down. Your top shoulder rolling back and away from the ear. Take 1 or 2 more. Keep pushing through this bottom arm. You don't want to be collapsed into the shoulder. You want to lift out of it. When you're settled, when you've had enough, downward facing dog. Exhale. Left hand down. Left foot steps back. Once you're balanced, keep the balance in the upper body as you come into 3-legged dog. Left leg lifts up. Now your standing leg, your right leg, might be bent a little bit. Doesn't matter, just so long as that floating leg is really strong and pulling towards the back wall. Take one more, reaching back through the chest on the exhale. Inhale, left foot steps between the hands, crescent lunge. Once that foot is forwards, push down, lift your chest, and then arms overhead. Now for your arms here, your palms want to turn in towards one another. When the palms start to turn out, your shoulder will start to roll forwards, which creates this closed off position in your chest, which most of us have probably been in as we've been sitting on the couch for the last few days watching Netflix. We've probably been hunched over. So turning the palms in will help to promote this more open chest position. From there, coming into your runner's lunge, exhale, hands to the mat. Start to straighten your front leg. So you're driving through your front heel and pulling this left hip back towards the back of your mat. The front knee will go with it. Working for as long a spine here as possible. So some of you might already have a totally straight front leg. If that's the case, notice if your back is collapsed in order to create that. Find that long spine again, reaching the chest forwards. One more. And then release. Bend your front knee, step your, and then fold. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest through a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of your mat. First option, knees down. Second option, knees lifted. Exhale to chaturanga, bend the elbows. Chest moves forwards a bit as you lower. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Really strong upper back. Downward facing dog, either pushing down through the knees or through the tops of the feet. Back into crescent lunge. Inhale, your right foot steps between the hands, and then both arms lift up overhead. So again, front knee a little bit out over your pinky toe. Bring your hands onto your hips, preparing warrior 2. Your back heel is going to spin in and down. The front leg stays where it is. Your hips start to turn open. Now, as your hips turn to the left side of your mat, your front knee will probably try and come to the left with the hips. Drive that knee out over your pinky toe. Then reach the arms forwards and back. Gaze can come forwards over your front fingers. Take one more breath here, grounding into the outer edges of both of your feet. Inhale, front leg goes straight. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Both legs are straight. Inhale, start to reach forwards in the upper body. Right fingers reach forwards, tracing out over the top of your front leg. Keep going, creating as much length underneath the body as you can. Once you can't go any further, right hand to your right leg somewhere, and the left arm goes straight up. So again, press into the outer edges of both of your feet. Think about your right hip coming underneath you. You want it open in the front. Take 2 more here. Sending your hips back a little further as your chest goes forwards. Back up to warrior two. Bend your front knee, reach up through the left arm. Downward facing dog. Exhale, hands to the mat. Right foot steps back. Deep breath. Other side. Inhale, left foot steps between the hands. Crescent lunge. Strong back leg. Start to lift your chest, arms overhead. Preparing warrior two. Again, this front leg is really important. You don't really want it to change much at all here. The hip is going to change, but the leg isn't going to. Bring your hands onto your hips. Start to spin your back heel down. Your hips will start to turn open. You're engaging this left glute to help keep your left knee out over your left pinky toe. Arms can reach forwards and back. Take notice of your hips here as well. Notice if you're collapsing into your front hip and letting that back hip shoot out towards the back of your mat. That will, as you can probably see, hopefully you can see in the camera, that will shorten the back end side of your body and lengthen the left side of the body. See if you can bring the hips back underneath you so that both sides are equal. Take one more breath. Front leg goes straight. Still pressing into the outer edges of the feet, legs still active. Trikonasana triangle pose. Inhale, reach forwards through the left fingers. Keep going as far as you can. Again, not letting that left hip shoot out underneath you. Keep it underneath the back hip. Once you can't go any further, left hand down, right arm up. Maybe 2 or 3 more here. Both shoulders want to roll back a little bit, keeping the chest open. So not only is it just your top shoulder rolling back, but your bottom shoulder might collapse in as you do that. So roll that one back as well. Last breath. Back to warrior two. Bend your left knee, reach up through the right arm. Downward facing dog. Exhale, hands to the mat. Left foot steps back. 2 options. First option, stay right where you are, take a few breaths there. Second option, a vinyasa. If you want the vinyasa, inhale to plank. Remember, it's an option. Modify where needed as well here. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, your right foot steps to the outside of your right hand. Now, if you have a block, go ahead and just set that somewhere near you that you'll be able to grab it, just maybe off the front corner of your mat. You'll be able to grab it if you need it here in a moment. Now, you're gonna come back up into crescent lunge here. Your stance is a little bit wider than it was a moment ago, so it's gonna feel a little funky. Again, front knee wants to drive out. Make sure that right glute is active. Kick stronger through the back heel. When you're ready, start to lift your chest, and then eventually the weight will come out of your hands, arms will go up overhead. So just a little bit more engagement, just changes your balance point here by taking the feet into a different stance. Now, on your next exhale, bring the hands back down to your mat. You're coming into a squat. Left foot, your back foot, steps up to the outside of your left hand. So now your feet are mirroring each other at the front of your mat. Some of you, if you have a block, are going to need that block just underneath where your hips are about to go. Some of you won't need the block at all. Now, start to bend the knees. As the knees bend, common theme here, the knees go out. Don't let them collapse in. Keep driving the knees out. Keep your heels down as well. If your heels start to lift at any point, you've gone a little bit too far. Keep the heels down, drop the hips. Some of you will stop a little bit higher. Some of you will be able to drop your hips down onto your block. Some of you will not need your block. Wherever you are with the height of your hips, bring your palms to prayer, elbows inside of your knees. Chest is lifted. First option, stay right there, enjoy it. Second option is to take a little bit of a twist. If you're taking the twist, your left shoulder is going to slide down. Your left tricep even slides down inside of your left thigh a little bit. Your left hand can go to the mat, just out in front of your left toe somewhere, or it can even grab across the body to your right ankle. One of these might feel better than the other. Then the right hand can, first option, I know you're probably having a bit of difficult time seeing me here. First option, right hand just presses into your right knee. Second option, the right arm reaches up towards the ceiling above you. I'm going to take that first option there with my top arm. Take a couple more breaths here. Keep letting your hips come forwards, knees drive out, and that right shoulder is lifting up if you've chosen the twist. Take one more. And then release back to the center into a fold. Lift your hips up high. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, heel to the feet back towards one another. And then fold, exhale. Inhale, flat back through a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of the mat. First option, knees down. Second option, knees up. Chaturanga, squeeze the elbows to your sides. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Other side. Inhale, left foot steps to the outside of your left hand. So it's a slightly wider lunge, maybe even a little bit longer of a lunge than you're used to. Your glutes are switched on. When you're ready, drive through the legs. Inhale, lift your chest, shift the weight into your feet. Start to bring the arms up, overhead eventually. 2 or 3 breaths here. So your left glute is switched on to help control and give some stability to your front leg. Your right glute is also switched on, trying to find some more opening in the front of this back leg. Take one more. Then release. Exhale, hands come down, setting up that squat once again. Right foot steps up to the outside of your right hand. Start to send the hips down. Keep gripping the mat with your toes, driving into your heels. Again, stop at whatever height of your hips you need to. And then find some engagement in your back. If you think about upward facing dog, that pull back through your shoulders, that lifting through your chest, you want all of that same engagement in your back here as you bring the chest up. Hips are coming forwards and through, chest is lifted. First option, stay. Second option, you're a little bit of a twist. If you're taking the twist, your right shoulder is going to slide down this time. Your right hand is either on the mat or grabbing a hold of the opposite ankle. Your left hand either presses into your left knee or reaches up towards the ceiling. A few breaths. Keep lifting the chest. See if you can create a bit more length in the front side of the body here. 1 or 2 more. When you've had enough, release. Back to the center into a fold. Push through the heels, lifting your hips. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, heel to the feet towards one another and fold. Once more, inhale, flat back, vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet to the back of the mat, modify where needed. You can skip this as well and go straight back to down dog or child's pose if you need a little rest. If you're taking it, exhale to lower. Inhale to lift the chest. And exhale, taking it back, downward facing dog. Everybody to child's pose. Set the knees down. Release the hips back towards the heels and relax the upper body. Now you might need a slightly different variation of child's pose here as compared to what you took right at the start of the class. That's normal. Your body's maybe feeling some slightly different things at this point in the class. Your hips may be a little bit more open. So just adjust as you need to and take a few more deep breaths. When you are ready, when you're settled, prepare downward facing dog. Just join in whenever you're ready. If you still need a little bit more rest, just stay in child's pose for a bit longer. Coming into Digasana. Inhale, your right foot steps between the hands. Starting in a crescent lunge, go ahead, lift the chest, reach the arms up. Then take the arms by your sides. your palms are facing forwards. Again, that just helps to keep the shoulder open. If the palms turn in or back, it drops your shoulder forwards and closes your chest, and you want your chest open here. So palms are forwards, chest is open. Now, hinge forwards in your hips. So you've now created this long line from your head through the rest of your body down to that back heel. See if you can keep that line as you come forwards into your balance. Start to shift the weight into your front leg. Your back toes, for some of you, will come right up off of the mat and you'll be able to balance. For others, back toes will step forwards a bit, bringing more and more weight into this front leg. When you're ready, back toes might float maybe just an inch. Maybe they lift a little higher. Maybe they lift a little higher. Take your time. You can stop at any point in that transition, any point that you need to. Now from here, you're coming all the way up to standing on the same leg. So start lifting your chest and draw your floating knee up into your belly. So that knee is now floating out in front of you. Take your time. Some of you, I'm sure, are probably using a wall at this point, putting your hand on a wall somewhere to help with your balance. That's okay. Now from here, hands underneath your left thigh. You might have to come forwards a little bit to make that bind, but get a hold underneath the leg and then bring the shoulders back so your chest is lifted again. I know you can't really see my shoulders any longer. Now, start to straighten your left leg. Take your time. Your left heel starts to kick forwards. For some of you, it's only going to move a couple inches. For others, it will continue moving. What's important here is that as the heel is kicking, it's not so much about how high the heel gets. If you start thinking about that, your hips might just start to go forwards to lift that heel higher. And it's not just about getting a straight leg. If you think just about a straight leg, your shoulders might collapse to get it there. So keep that knee where it is, keep the chest lifted, kick a little bit stronger. Now from here, first option, keep the bind where it is. Second option, your left peace sign fingers, middle and index fingers, can grab a hold of your left big toe, and your right hand can come onto your hip. If you're keeping that first bind, you're going to either keep a straight leg or bend the knee once again. Left hand, outside hand, inside of your left thigh. Right hand onto your hip. So you're either here with a bent knee, with a straight leg, or with that bind on your toe. Start to take your left leg out to the left side of the room. Hopefully you all have some space next to you for that to happen. So some of you will be moving with a straight leg. Some of you will be going with a bent leg. Take a couple more breaths here. Keep your gaze on something that isn't moving. That's going to help. One more. And then bring the leg back to the center and release. Send the left foot down onto the mat. Shake that out a little bit. Your right leg, your right glute might be talking to you a little bit. It was doing a lot of stabilizing work while you stood there on that one right leg. And we're just going to move through a vinyasa just to wash that one side through. So take a second, ground into your feet again. Reach down through the fingers. On your next inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back through a vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. Modify where you need to. Chaturanga, exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And downward facing dog, exhale. Other side. Left foot steps between the hands. Once that left foot is forwards, up to crescent lunge to start, lifting the chest, reaching the arms. Now as you go through all of these balances, especially moving into Digasana, this first one, front knee again doesn't collapse into the center of the body. Keep it out, make sure your glute is switched on. That's gonna help to support your hip. Take the arms by your sides, palms forwards, shoulders back, hinge forwards into your front hip. Start to bring the weight forwards. Keep the back leg really strong. Shift the weight, front knee out a little bit, and the back toes eventually start to float. Some of you, again, will keep those toes on the mat. Some of you will float only an inch off of the mat. Some of you will hinge until the upper body and that floating back leg are horizontal to the mat. Take one more. Then drive through your standing leg, lift the chest, back knee pulls up towards your belly. Take a second, find your balance. Then hands come underneath your right thigh. Shoulders pin back. Hips are directly underneath the shoulders. Keep the hips under the shoulders. Take one more breath here. Then start to kick. Right heel is kicking forwards. Using the engagement of your right quad to pull the knee open. One or two more. First option again, keep this same bind. Second option, right fingers onto your right big toe, left hand onto your hip. If you've got the same bind here, you can keep the leg straight or bend it. Right hand inside of the thigh if you're moving from that first variation. Left hand onto your hip. Start to move your right leg out to the side. Now you're trying to open your right hip here. So if your hips turn with you, you've not really done a whole lot. So you want your hips to stay facing forwards and just take the leg away from the front of the body here. Maybe two more. Keep lifting up tall, keep breathing deep. Then slowly bring the leg back to the center with control and then release. Both feet onto the mat. It's over, it's done, that part is finished, you've completed it. So both feet are grounded through Surya Namaskara A, washing that out. When you're ready, inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Vinyasa. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And down dog. Come all the way through into a seat. Inhale, step or jump. Have a seat on the mat. You made it. Now, from your mat, kick your legs out in front. Coming into a fold, Paschimottanasana. So for some of you, if you've been practicing with me, you know the options that I'm about to give you. If you struggle a bit with getting your legs straight with a long spine, if you find that you're collapsed back here, sit on a block or a pillow, or you can just maybe roll your mat up behind you and sit on that. That'll just give you a little bit of elevation and a little bit more space for your fold, for some length before you fold. Kick forwards through the heels. Inhale, lift the chest, reach forwards. Exhale, fold. Keep this length, breaking at your hip as you come forwards. Hands eventually onto your legs somewhere. So you can either grab your shins, ankles, or the feet, whatever's available. Find your breath again. So you might have lost it. You lost the consistency of your breath, the intention of your breath as you were going through those slightly more difficult postures, trying postures. So find it again here. Inhales again are opening breaths, creating this length in the body. And the exhales are deepening breaths, closing breaths, maybe taking you a bit further. Two more. Last one. Back to the top. Inhale, lift your chest. Your right knee bends up towards you, right knee. That right foot is going to be grounded on the mat just inside of your left thigh. You're coming into a twist. Two options. First option, left arm around the front of your right leg, either grabbing the calf or grabbing all the way back to your thigh. Second option, your tricep goes over the knee to the outside of your right thigh. Now, wherever you are with this left arm, make sure that your right knee hasn't collapsed with the now either pulling of your left arm or pushing with the left arm. You want that right leg to stay really strong and the knee to be pointing straight up. So wherever you are with the left arm, take your right hand now behind you onto the mat. Inhale, lift your chest, finding length first in the spine, then twist. Exhale, turn the chest, letting your right shoulder roll back towards the wall or towards the back of your mat here. Two or three more. Inhales, lifting. Exhales, turn. And then come back to the center, release. Now from here, take both hands and take a hold underneath your right foot and lift that right foot up towards the front of your mat somewhere. Now, See if you can start to straighten your leg. Start to and see if you can. So it doesn't have to get straight, in case you didn't pick up on that. So the right knee is going to start to punch forwards away from you. Now what the tendency will be, again, just like when you were balancing on your one leg, is that some of you, in order to get that straight leg, you'll sacrifice the length of your spine. So as you push that knee forwards, make sure you're not rounding back and letting your shoulders curl forwards in order to get a straight leg. Keep the upper back strong, keep the spine long. I'm rhyming now. The quarantine is starting to get to me. And really drive that knee towards the front of your mat. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. Lift a little taller through the chest. And then just soften the knee a little bit again, keeping the bind but softening the bend of the knee. Now your right leg is lifted, so now take the left hand to the outside of your right foot. So your right leg is lifted, take the left hand over and to the outside of your right foot. Again, first option, keep your knee bent here. Second option, if you can do so with a long spine, straighten the leg. It's not super important though. Back into a twist. Lift your chest, inhale. Reach back through the right arm, exhale. From here, both legs are moving straight forwards in their own lines. Make sure your right leg hasn't crossed over the top of your left. Take another 2 breaths. Kick a little stronger through both heels, and maybe even let your floating leg get a little bit heavier so that your chest is more directly on top of your hips rather than leaning too much towards the back of your mat. Last one. And then release. Come back to the center, release the right leg onto your mat. All of that on the other side. Bend your left knee up towards you. Left knee is bent. Your right leg is now straight. So we've talked in the past about how important your base is. You always want a really strong base before you start adjusting the body above that. So in this instance, your base is your hips and your legs. Your hips want to be grounded, both hips down, and both legs want to be really strong. So right leg is now kicking forwards again. Left knee is pointing straight up with the engagement of that leg. First option, right arm around the front of your left leg. Second option, right tricep to the outside of the thigh. Now, as you push or pull into that right leg, the right leg is resisting. It's pressing back into the arm. When you're ready, left hand behind you, inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. As I said, your hips are part of your base. Hips don't really want to change. They're going to stay on the mat and level. With your hips underneath you, you're then thinking about your shoulders and your rib cage rotating over the top of those hips. Take another 2 or 3. Again, use your breath. One more. And release. Come back to the center. Both hands underneath your left foot. And then start to lift that left foot up. So set your upper body first. Lift your chest, lengthening a little bit. Ooh, excuse me. Once you have that length of your spine, then start to kick. Not releasing any of this upper body. Keep the upper body really strong. Kick forward, kick up a little bit through your left heel, and the left knee will drive forwards. I'm sure most of you are already feeling this in your hamstring a little bit. If you're not, you're super flexible, first of all, in your hamstrings, and you can maybe then pull the toes a little bit higher up if you need a bit more. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. Lift a little taller, kick a little stronger. And then soften that knee, bend the knee a little bit. So the left leg is lifted. So your right hand is crossing over the foot and grabbing the outside of your left foot. Again, the leg can stay bent or it can start to straighten. Wherever it's going, you're thinking about the outer edge of your foot pushing into the hand, because that pushing into the hand means that you can now press the hand back into it to help your rotation a bit more. So both legs really strong, hips grounded. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach back through the left arm. Long breaths. Both heels have this forwards momentum going through them. Kick forward through them. That's going to help to keep your base solid so you can find a deeper twist. 2 more. Last one. And release. Come back around to the center. Release that leg to the mat. You're moving through a final vinyasa, very last vinyasa. Bend the knees, cross the ankles, roll over your knees or your feet, step or jump the feet back. If you really want to skip this, you can just stay in your seat. When you're ready, knees up or down, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog, open chest, strong legs. Downward facing dog, exhale, sending it back. And then everybody coming back through into a seat. Inhale, step or jump, have a seat on the mat, knees are up. Drop the knees then out to the side, soles of the feet are touching, Baddha Konasana. So with the soles of the feet touching, the feet can be whatever distance away from you feels most comfortable. Some of you have more open hips, more open lower back, so you'll be able to bring the feet closer if it feels better to get into your inner thighs. Others of you will need to move the feet a little further away. You, might also again need to sit on a block or some form of a prop. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Again, fold happening in the hips, making it a hinging motion rather than a rounding motion. Keep the chest open. Hands can grab the shins, the feet, they can walk out in front of you. Maybe 3 to 5 more deep breaths here. And then when you are ready, start to bring yourself back up into a seat. Draw the knees up towards you and come down onto your back. So take the knees with you and roll back and down. And then preparing bridge pose. Release the knees, set the feet onto the mat. Feet are about hips width apart, maybe slightly wider if it feels better. Heels just out of reach of your fingertips. You do want them pretty close. And the heels are a little bit wider than your toes. You're just a bit pigeon-toed here. Press down into the feet, ground the palms down next to you. Inhale, lift your hips. Now as the hips lift up, glutes are switched on, pelvis is tucking up a little bit again. You can then walk your shoulder blades together underneath you. So your chest starts to open. First option, stay here, keep pushing down through the palms. Second option, interlace the fingers underneath you, reaching the knuckles to your heels. If you have any other back bend variations that you would prefer, you're welcome to do them as long as you can do them safely. Just maybe another 2 or 3 breaths. Focusing on the opening of your chest, pushing down through the shoulders and the triceps, and pushing through the legs so that the chest moves back towards your chin. When you've had enough, release the mind if you've taken it. Separate the shoulder blades, upper back into the mat first, and then roll down through the middle back next. Your lower back is the last thing unrolling onto the mat. Just a long breath there. And then draw the right knee into your chest. Wrap the arms around the right leg and release the left leg long to the mat. Finding a little bit of release on the right side of your lower back. And then draw the left knee back up towards you and release the right leg. So you've just switched sides. And then bring the right knee back up, so both knees are in for another breath. And then release the knees, set the feet to the mat, just like they were in bridge pose. Now from here, separate your feet the width of the mat. So you want your feet a good distance apart. Keep your feet wide. You don't want your feet to drift back towards one another. Keep the feet wide and then drop both knees to the left. So both knees drop to the left side of your mat. So your right knee has kind of dropped towards your left foot. Now from here, what you're looking for is maybe a little pull through the right side of your lower back, maybe a little bit more information there. You might also be getting something through the outside of your right leg here. First option, stay exactly where you are, or arms can be in any comfortable position. Second option, your left foot, that's the outside leg, your left foot can set on top of your right knee. That little bit extra weight will drop your right knee a little lower to the mat. And then go ahead, release the left foot if you took that option. Bring both knees back up to the center. And just take a breath there, let the lower back ground. And then both knees are going to drop to the right. Again, make sure your feet are still wide. Both knees drop to the right side of the mat. So the left knee has kind of dropped towards the right foot. And if you took the option on the first side, then it's your right ankle, the outside foot, that comes on top of your left knee. And go ahead, release the right foot off of the left knee if you took that option. Both knees back to the center. Then shift your hips. You're preparing your twists here. Shift your hips over to the right side of your mat. Hips move to the right a little bit. First option for your twist. First option, slightly easier option, keeping both knees just together as they are. Second option, deeper twist. The right thigh crosses on top of your left thigh. Wherever you are, draw the knees into your chest. Drop the knees across to the left side of your mat. So your hips will tip up and over a bit. And then your gaze goes out over the right shoulder. Now you can adjust here if you need to. Some of you, your hips will need to move a little further to the right side. Some of you will need to change your legs, maybe unwinding if the posture is a bit too intense with the bind. You can play around with the height of your knees as well, bringing them higher up or further away to change the sensation. Taking another 3 to 5 breaths on this side. And when you're ready, start to come back to the center, bringing the knees back up, unwinding the legs, hips back to the center of the mat, knees into the chest if it feels good. And then for the other side, shift your hips over to the left a little bit. Either keep the knees together or cross the left leg on top of your right, left on top of right, knees into the chest, and then knees to the right side of your mat, your gaze to the left. When you're ready, come on back to the center. Unwinding the body, draw the knees into your chest. then preparing your Shavasana. So if you have props like pillows or blankets or anything, start to prepare those. If you have a favorite shape for your body, find it. Otherwise, your legs can release, letting them go long to the mat. The arms can release by your sides. The palms facing upwards. Close your eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let the hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down as your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to any sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body. Creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them. finding the space that exists inside your mind. And finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug, rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on your right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow, remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center if you choose. May you take only what is offered. Take only what you need, and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay patient. Thank you. Namaste.